cooperative housing advocates working to bring a community land trust to Knoxville. We are working with Michael. We've got Ron, if you can wave your hand, and then we've got Jason. And so we are in the beginning phases, and we are really excited to have 3 panelists today to talk about their experiences living on a community land trust. So the way that things will work is that we will have a brief learning about what community land trusts are. Then we'll introduce our panelists. Each of our panelists will have 2 minutes to share their thoughts on our questions. We'll go through 3 rounds of questions. And then after our 3 rounds of questions, we will ask the audience to bring themselves off of mute to ask questions to the audience. Until then, we would really appreciate it if you stayed on mute out of respect for all the attendees here. And if you have any questions, please write them down. Our chat is not working, so we are being really flexible today. Feel free to write them down on a piece of paper for later or anything like that that you need to. And if you have to, if you need to say something, please just make sure you're using the emoji to raise your hand. So if you have a question, please use the emoji to raise your hand. If you don't know where that is, it's in the upper right corner. It's the 3rd icon. And if you hover over it, it'll have a hand that says raise. All right, and I'm gonna hand it on over to Michael for our short learning on community land trusts.
Okay, so I have a PowerPoint here, which means that I'm going to share my screen. So let me know if that doesn't work. So I should, let's see. Okay, so y'all should see a PowerPoint. Is that happening? Yes? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So community land trusts, I'm just here to give a brief introduction to them. So what is a community land trust? In the broadest sense, it's a strategy for locals to keep housing affordable. I'll be abbreviating it as CLT, that's just community land trust. And basically it's a piece of land that's collectively owned by some sort of community organization. And that organization uses that land to create housing options, usually for low income residents. And basically it's removing land from the typical housing market and putting it into community ownership. And the way that they do that, you kind of have to understand what traditionally land ownership would be, and then we can compare that to what a CLT does. So in a normal situation, like in our conventional housing market, an individual, whether that's like a corporation or a person, owns a plot of land as well as the things that are on the land. So you might think of like the city is divided into plots on a block, and on that plot, in each plot, there might be a building or a pond or whatever's there. When you buy the land, you own what is on that plot as well. And they have property rights over how that land is used to a certain extent, and they can, if they choose to rent, control rental costs. That's your traditional land ownership model. So you have the land owned by an individual, and then whatever is on top of the land is also controlled by the individual. In contrast, a community land trust, the nonprofit that runs the community land trust buys the land, but then they determine what the land use is, and that can include how buildings may be sold or rented. So the housing is basically separate from the land itself. So the organization, the community land trust, continuously owns the land, but the buildings or whatever is on the land may change hands and under certain conditions set by the CLT. And so usually what will happen, and it can vary from land trust to land trust, but usually what will happen is that there will be some sort of building or residence on the land that the resident, who is not the owner of the land underneath, will enter into a lease with, and the lease is usually 99 years. Basically, the lifetime of someone. And so the land trust sets the conditions under which they can own like whatever building it is. But the land trust can set parameters, and this is why it's a good option for affordable housing, because the land trust can set the parameters under which rent can be charged, or the house may be bought or sold. And depending on what the land trust model is, the person who is entering into a residential agreement with the land trust may be able to sell the actual building under certain conditions, may be able to gain equity from the building itself, but that is separated from the land underneath. So how do these organizations determined? Usually, and I keep saying usually because each land trust is a little bit different, but usually they're managed by a nonprofit organization, and the board of directors is made of a mix of residents from the homes on the land, as well as other invested parties. So there may be social services represented or city officials. Again, it depends on how the land trust organization has been set up. But typically, the residents will maintain a majority control of the board, so that whatever the parameters and stipulations of the rules for housing are, the residents keep control of that. And then usually the board is how rents are controlled, or properties are determined, like for their usage and things like that. And again, that's as opposed to a typical land ownership model in which you would have, if it's being rented, you would have a landlord, and that landlord has exclusive rights over what is done with what's done with the property or the building. So what are some of the benefits of that? Again, this is in general because each land trust is a little bit different, but generally the purpose and benefits of a community land trust is to keep land in local control, as opposed to some sort of corporation or individual who's not, invested in it, buying up a piece of land, and, you have a distant landlord. This board structure keeps the land in the control of the people who are there. As I mentioned earlier, it can preserve affordable housing, stabilize rents, protect communities from displacement and gentrification, because the organization which includes representation from the residents. They are the ones who get to decide how land is bought and sold, or rented or not rented, which means that you can't have you have less of those like kind of market forces that tend to make housing more expensive. And lastly, it's a benefit because it's democratic, as opposed to like a single owner or a corporation controlling exclusively everything that happens on the land. It is a cooperative that determines land usage, and that includes, again, people who live there as well as other stakeholders. And so it's not a single entity controlling what happens there. And that is it. That's my 5-minute introduction. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time getting to know each of our panelists. I am going to go in order of how folks are on my screen. So I see Therese, and I hope that's correct.
That is
correct. And then I see Bill, who is under, if you hover over it, it says Mitzi, but it's actually, we're talking to Bill. And then Madeline, is that right?
Madeline.
Madeline, that's beautiful. Madeline. Okay, so what we're going to do is ask our panelists again to share their names and which community land trust they live on, and one thing they love about community land trusts. So I'll start with Therese.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Therese Brown. I work, I live on land owned by Athens Land Trust, but I also work at Athens Land Trust. So I started off as a client or a homeowner, and I loved it so much. It was a big interest, so now I work here, and the same thing that they offered me now, it's a part of my job responsibility to offer the same services and the same knowledge that they gave me to the people that I work with. So that's me. I look forward to talking with you all today.
Awesome. Bill, thank you, Therese.
I'm Bill Nickel. That's like 5 pennies never worth a dime. I've been a part of the Narrow Ridge Earth Literacy Center for 31 years, and our first land trust we have 4 land trusts now. The first one that I became a part of, Hogskin Valley Land Trust, has been 29 years ago. And our picture here is quite different than what we're talking about, but I hope that there's some ways that we can relate, because we're in rural Granger County. And so it's not a situation where there's a lot of houses around us. It's mostly farmland and mountains and ridges and lakes, that type of thing. But it's been a privilege and an honor for me to be a part of this for all these years. What we do here is we really try to do away with that term owner. That we don't own much of anything. We sure don't own people, and nor do we own land. And that's kind of what we stake our main thought about, whether it's housing or the land that the house is on or whatever. It's not, we don't own mama. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Madeline, I hope I said that right. Could you reintroduce yourself?
My name is Madeline Hill. I live here in Lexington, and I worked at a daycare out in this neighborhood before they started building this land trust here. And pretty much right now, I'm an in-home caregiver, and that's about it. I like where I'm at.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, some of you have actually already kind of answered this question, but we'll go back to it a little bit later. So what are some of the opportunities and challenges of community land trusts from your experience? And we'll go in the same order that we went in last time. So what are some of the opportunities and challenges?
Some of the opportunities I've come across, I am a person, it's just in me. I don't know if it's in my brain, my heart, wherever it's at, it might be both. I like to serve. I like things to be put in place to make sure, I don't want to call it the underdog, but the people that are less served are served. So some of the opportunities for me are actually serving that demographic of people that are usually forgotten. I live in Athens, Georgia. I'm not sure if you all know anything about Athens, Georgia, but it is a college town. So the University of Georgia usually they usually get first dibs on anything. So having the opportunity to serve the people that are usually underserved, and I almost feel like, we won. We got the land before UGA did. I feel like it's a big win for us. Some of the challenges, there are people that I don't think they take the time to understand what we do. They think, hey, you'll never get any money, when it's time to sell your house, you're just paying their property taxes for them. I think a lot of times they just don't take the time to ask questions and understand what we do and how we do it. And even when we make opportunities to give them the knowledge, they would rather just not have the knowledge and just talk about what they think rather than the knowledge we give them to give them that better understanding of what we do. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, perfect. I'm going to hand it over to Bill. Opportunities and challenges from your experience.
Well, the opportunity really is to try to change the destructive patterns that are taking place among people and the land. The destruction is very, very relevant to who we are as individuals and the land that we live on, whether it's in the middle of a metropolitan area or like us here in a rural area in Granger County, Tennessee. So that opportunity to help people understand that we can make a difference in the lives of people as well as in caring for the planet. We're challenged in that we're a long ways away from from Knoxville, 40 minutes from Knoxville, 40 minutes from Morristown, 40 minutes from Middlesboro, Kentucky. So we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so the challenge is for having people here who can work and make a living. If they can't make a living here at Narrow Ridge on the land trust, and they have a difficult time, and that's the challenge. And that's particularly true for younger people. We try to employ folks, or whether they're in the garden or whether they're working with alternative construction in homes, whatever. We try to give people jobs as much as we can, and that's good. But the other thing that is a real challenge that here for us in this county, the population is like 99% white. And we're really struggling to say, hey, please, we want people of color to be here with us, to be a part of these land trusts. And so that's another big challenge that we have. We wouldn't turn anybody away for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really, that's something I never would have thought of. So thank you. And Matlene, better?
That's better. You're getting there.
I'm getting there. Okay, cool. Opportunities and challenges.
Some of the opportunities are that I'm able to own my own home and live in this amazing neighborhood I'm in. The only disadvantage is that I cannot sell the home if I choose to move, and even that's not a true disadvantage, because I was hoping to keep the home and my family for generations to come. And that's it.
Okay.
I need the whole 2 minutes to say what I need to say.
Okay. I love it. Well, we'll move right along, and I think you've alluded to this a little bit, but the next question is, what went into your final decision to live on a community land trust? And we'll start the same way.
My final decision, I think, again, because I live in a college town, everything is super expensive. And for me, the amount I paid to own my home, first of all, I just wanted my own, but I needed to figure out a way to do it. The price I pay now for mortgage, taxes, and homeowners insurance is less than I was paying for rent. It just made sense. And then, getting to the table and signing the paperwork and them really explaining everything to me, all the money I'm paying literally is just the homeowners insurance, and that's something I have to have. And then the property taxes, that's all I'm paying, because the money that I'm paying in for my mortgage, when it's time for me to resell my home, I get it all back. So it's almost like living for free. I'm paying property taxes, homeowners insurance. That's little to nothing. Around here, to rent a 2-bedroom apartment, you're going to pay $1,400 to $1,500 a month. I have a 3-bedroom home on a beautiful plot of land. It's nice and quiet, and I'm paying, I think it was $750, and it went down this year because of my escrow. So you can't beat paying $6. I have to ask my husband. It's $6 something. I think it's like $633 per month for a mortgage. You just can't beat that.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. So we'll go to Bill next. What went into your final decision to live on a CLT?
Well, land in Granger County is cheap. That is, unless there's federal lands nearby, like Norris Lake and TVA owns land there, and they're selling half an acre for 50,000 or so. Here at Narrow Ridge with our land trust, if you don't have a dime, we'll try to make it be so that you can have a lease on land. There are individuals who will try to make that happen, no matter what your financial obligations are to in other areas. What made me really feel good about this was that to build our own homes, I built a straw bale house. Maybe y'all don't know about the wolf and the pig, but we've got straw bale construction here on Land Trust. It's a really cheap way to build, and it's very, very, very warm in the winter. The straw is great insulation, and our houses are small. I mean, it's a one bedroom up in the loft, so to speak, but anybody can build a straw house, and we even do workshops so that if you want to build a house, then you have people pay you to come and do a workshop to build your house. That's a neat way to get your house built. And it's yours for 99 years, of course, and that's just a legal terminology. That house can be passed on to anybody that you want to. But the restrictions on the land trust are there's no poisonous chemicals that you can use, fertilizer in your garden or something like that. And you can't, we've got forests on our land here, and you can't clear cut the land. So that's some of the restrictions that we have.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Matlene.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a tall word, so.
Keep pushing me. So what went into your final decision to live on a CLT?
Well, I realized the home ownership is much easier than I thought it would be. And I had actually tried to apply for just out of just tried to see if I can get a loan. And I actually did qualify for a loan. And so I went to a meeting and they was talking about this land trust. So I applied for it and then I got it. And it's nice. It really is. Because it's got a nice neighborhood, nice people. And I actually knew one of my neighbors that lives here by me. And everybody around here is nice. They're friendly. They're helpful. And this house was like a dream come true. Everything just was a time and a place for everything, and it was time. And now I'm really glad that I decided to do it, and I like it. And so, and then like the people with the land trust and everyone that I had dealt with to talk to about moving into my own home, they were very helpful, very kind, and they helped me a whole lot. And the land trust, they helped me a lot to make up my family decision about moving.
Gotcha.
But that's
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so some of you have alluded to this already, but how have community land trusts changed your perspective on housing? And I think for this one, we're going to go in reverse order. We're going to switch it up a little bit. So how has community land trusts changed your perspective on housing?
You talking about me, Star?
Yes.
Okay, my bad. Because it let you know that land trust, this is very affordable. And they work with you about your income, and they work with you about, I don't know, like they cater to your income level, and they move a lot of obstacles out of your way that you didn't think that you could be able to own a home. But they work with you till they get you where you need to be. They work with you till they get you in a home. And even though the home that I'm in now, this was a resale, and this house is still good because it's just 4 years old, and I love it here. I love this house. It's everything. It was a dream come true. Everything about this house, everything CLT did for me, everybody that had a hand in helping me, they made this all possible, and I am really grateful for them. I'm grateful for CLT for helping me. I have to have too many minutes to say what I gotta say.
Thank you.
I know. I say what I gotta say and just get through with it.
I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's move to the next one then. How did community land trusts change your perspective on housing? We're in the middle now, Bill.
Well, I think that for us right now, some people can afford to build a house on our land trust. Some old houses are here already. The house that I moved into to begin with was an old house over on Clinch River. And when Norris Lake got flooded, that house was put on a wagon and it moved over here. And so I moved into that old house. That was back in 1972. There are old farmhouses scattered around. We have 550 acres of land. Not all of that is in home sites. Some of it's set aside as wilderness area for hiking trails and so forth. But right now we've got an old farmhouse. The lady is her health is not good, and so she's going to sell that old farmhouse that she's been leasing. That's been her lease site, and it's just going to go up. Whoever's going to buy it, that's what it's going to go for. If anybody wants an old farmhouse, well, you might want to check it out. There are other ways in which, though, that our home sites are already designated to go to family members, and so you can say, "Oh, my house, it's going to go to my children, or grandchildren, or whoever you want." And there's only some stipulations. They can't have a clear-cut land around it, use poisonous chemicals and fertilizers or anything like that. But if they can go by the basic rules, then your children or your grandchildren can have that home for another 99 years. That's just legal terminology that we're talking about.
Thank you.
For me, I think I have lots of different perspectives. Again, I live in a home, and now the same services that I was providing, that's what I'm doing now. I think, like Miss Madeline, Miss Maddie over here.
Well, that's what I've called through all through school because they can say my name.
Also, I think I'm with her. Like I knew I wanted to have my own home, but I thought it was far fetched for me to be able to do it for myself. At that point, I was single, renting, trying to do it on my own. I think I honestly didn't even. I knew it was something I wanted to do, but I did not have a plan of action on how to do it. And they kind of found me. I'm not even gonna say they found me, and they were like, "Hey, have you ever considered owning a home?" And they took me through every step. They gave me more knowledge than I ever thought I needed. I thought I was ready, set, go by the time I got out of this home buyers education course, and my was I wrong. But the things that I needed to do to get to home ownership, I don't want to call it hand holding, but they held my hand. And also, just as my career, I never knew the red tape and the funding and the building supplies and all that stuff. It looked easy, like just driving by a house. And one day there's a, driving by empty land, and one day there's a house. It's so much more to it, that I'm learning all this stuff every day. So that's my perspective.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, and just on time. We do have a fourth question that we saved for in case we had extra time. So I'll ask this fourth question, and then we'll open it up to the audience to ask questions. So this bonus question is, how do community land trusts compare to other housing options for? In your experience, can folks talk a little bit about that? And we will start with Miss Madeline.
Okay.
Oh, now, okay.
Because mainly, I think it's because when you try to get a house and it's based on your income, and they're not trying to like break you or break you down or anything like that. And I don't know. I just think that when I tried because first I didn't think I could because of my age. And honestly, I didn't think I would be in a house. But with community land trust and like everybody that I had in contact with, they really pushed me because I was going to give up. They pushed me, but I had to leave from where I was at because the neighborhood I was in, it was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. The place where I lived at, it got to the point where the apartment I lived in, some people were broken their apartment. When the apartment was living in there, and they caught the apartment on fire. And then I was the only one left to live in this building. And we actually had like burns and stuff falling out of the ceiling into my apartment. And so I just like my daughter and the realtor and the mortgage man that I met, they pushed me. They just mainly like, I got this. You just go along with them. Just go with them. And so I wound up here. And like I said, in this house that I live in, this is a dream home because I always wanted a house with a picket fence, little fence in the backyard, fenced in backyard, and a bay window, and got a beautiful kitchen with an island in the middle. And one thing I love, got a washer and dryer. So it's beautiful. I love it. And I sure do care a lot about land trust because they showed it saved my life. I'm saying in a way that they saved my life. They honestly did.
That's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah. It was terrible where I lived at. It was really bad.
Well, thank you for that. I'll have a question later, but we're gonna move to Bill. How do CLTs compare to other housing options in your experience?
Well, when you're talking about safety, we don't worry about safety. I mean, we're in a totally different situation, and I'm very thankful for that. I mean, I can leave the keys in my car. I don't have locks on my doors, and it's just a different world in a rural area where you've got 35 people living around you, and everybody cares for one another, and we're all kind of looking out for one another. That's the difference between a rural area and the inner city situation, perhaps. But I think it goes beyond that, in that it's the people that are here that we know and trust, and that we get together for potluck suppers and music time, and all different kinds of activities that we do together. So there's that sense of community is very, very strong. And that makes a big difference for me, is rather than just living in a housing situation. I might know my next door neighbor across the street, but that person may move next week. The first person that moved into the land trust here, that was 30 years ago. He and his wife are still there. And so that kind of long-term sense of community and relationship as far as whose house is what. You know, it's here. That's beautiful.
Um, I'm sure you all can tell I'm a stickler for time. um, like both of the two people before me said, those things are definitely things that I can relate to. I have a really great group of neighbors. I think there was once, maybe about a year and a half ago, a tree fell on my car. Bad storm, tree fell on it, and I think I got 3 emails, 2 phone calls, and a note on my car saying, "Hey, let me know if you want me to help take this tree off your car. We'll help you cut it down." So there's definitely a real good sense of community where we live, and I can appreciate that. I haven't lived in the best or the worst neighborhoods. I've kind of been in between, and then I was far out in a rural area where there was absolutely nothing. So I think where I live now is perfect for me. It's not too much. It's just enough. If I want to see a neighbor, I can, wave. If I don't, I can just kind of close the door. The other part, I'm trying to give a difference in working and living. As far as working, I think that resale part, like a lot of people think, hey, we're gonna, I just bought a house and uh, I'm gonna sell it and I'm gonna get 50,000 extra dollars for it. When that resale value, I really have to really push that difference in how reselling that house goes. So that's my two different perspectives of how it compares.
Well, thank you all for sharing your thoughts and on those questions. And now I want to open it up to the audience to ask questions. So what we'll do is, I think I want to avoid confusion. So what we'll do is, if you can visually, if you're on screen, just raise a hand, physically raise your hand, or if you are off screen, go in the upper right corner, you'll see a smiley face with a little plus sign. If you go over there, you will, if you hover over that, you'll be able to click raise your hand, and we'll be able to recognize you that way. And this is also a space for panelists to ask each other questions. So this is just a moment for us to chat and get our questions answered. So okay, we've got about 10 minutes. I'd like to start off. So Miss Matleen, you mentioned earlier that the house you have now is your dream house. It has everything you ever wanted. So my question was, did you get to design your home, or no? Okay, so how did you what was that process like?
When I went to apply for a home in land trust, and then COVID hit, and that put everything way back on the back burner for the longest time. And so where I was living at, I was getting to the point where I had to move no matter what. I had to go from where I was at, because it was the living in the house, the apartment that was in, it was terrible. Because I have my daughter, one of my daughters, she became paralyzed, and I'm her in-home caregiver. And where I was at, it wasn't healthy for her to be in there. And so I had to go, and I came here, and that was it. I mean, like the house now, I mean, I always dreamed of having a house that had a bay window in a fenced-in yard. And I used to watch them when, like I said, when I worked out in this area that I'm in, and I never in my life dreamed I would be back in this area living. I swear I didn't. I knew I wasn't coming back out this way to live, but it worked out great. And I mean, it's nice, and everybody out here is really, really nice. It really is. And I got a neighbor that used to come to my church for the longest time, for years, for my pastor's anniversary. And he when I moved in, I seen him, I kept looking, I said, I know him. I said, I know him from somewhere. And he kept saying the same thing. I know her from somewhere. And then we got to comparing notes, and then we figured out, yeah, I know who you are, because you used to come to my church all the time for my pastor's anniversary. Excuse me. And he always talks about my sister works in the dining room, and she always makes this brisket. He talks about sitting there eating this brisket all the time. But I don't know. It's nice. Even though I didn't get to was in on the building of it, but it's still nice. No matter what, it's still nice. You got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I mean, what can you ask for? And I'm just grateful for it. You could actually walk out the door, you pick your mailbox, and last time I had a house with a bathroom window in it was when I was a kid, living in my parents' house. So, I mean, I can't complain about anything about this, regardless if it was brand new or a rebuild. I have no complaints whatsoever about it. I love it. I really do.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do others have questions?
That was Jason. Jason got his hand up.
Okay, Jason. Jason and then Michael.
We don't get too much. No, we don't get too much. We don't really have to deal with the university per se so much. We go straight to the county. We don't have to fight over it. A lot of the land that we get is donated. Because we have connections with the different people in the communities. We have people that are like, hey, Miss Rosa, she wants to sell her house, and I told her she should call the land trust. So I think we kind of have a heads up on some of the stuff, because we're in the community so much. So we don't really get too much resistance from the university. I will say that. I think also they want it to look like, and I can't say they are or they're not, but they want it to look like they have the community's interest at heart. So I'm not saying they do or they don't, once again, but they want it to look like they do. So they don't want to say, hey, we're going to swoop in and buy this house in the middle of a residential area. I've seen them try. But again, we don't do it.
Michael had his hand up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just curious, since you brought it up earlier, and this could be for anyone, but I am brought it up. But what is the resale process like? So let's say that you end up not paying for the 99 years or whatever the length of the lease is. What's that process like, and what could people expect to see if they try to sell the home that they have on a land trust?
So it's different for different land trusts. For us, what we do is we take the price of the house when they purchased the house. So if they bought the house back in 1995, when it got appraised, let's say it was worth $75,000. Let's say they want to sell it in 2023. So we take the amount that it was worth back in 95 and we subtract it from the appraised price in 2023. So let's say it was appraised for $100,000. So there's $25,000 difference. So we're not going to give them the whole $25,000 because we want to keep these houses affordable. So what they do is based on how many years they've lived in that house. We take the $25,000 and then they multiply it, or wait, I'm trying to see it in my head. They give them a certain percentage of that $25,000 based off of how many years they've lived there. So let's say if it's between 1 and 5, I think it's between 1 and 5, they might get 10% of that $25,000. And this is not accurate. I'm just trying to give an example. Let's say if it's between 5 and 10 years, they might get 25% of that $25,000. But they also get all of any amount of money that they paid for that mortgage, they get all of that back. So they add that plus that percentage of the difference in how much that house is appraised for. So I just we just bought a house back, and she walked away with like $28,000. I think she bought her house in 2013.
Okay. Does anyone else have Ron?
Yeah, I'm just curious, and it doesn't matter who responds. Living on the land trust, there's I guess there's some type of board or trustees that make group decisions. How do people become trustees, or how do you become, if it's a board, how do you, if you live on the land trust, how do you get into the decision making body about what happens on the land trust?
I can give one side of that. Here at Narrow Ridge, about half of the people that are on the Narrow Ridge Earth Literacy Board are also leaseholders and live here. So we really try to have, it's a 9-member board of directors. We really try to have at least half of the people of that 9 members be people who are living on the land trust. And then one other thing, I think we keep talking about the house, but then there's the land itself. And I think we know that land can really jump up in cities too. The value can jump up. And even if you don't look at the house, and here, whatever the house is worth that's what their house is worth. But sometimes somebody said, oh, that land is cheap. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that land and lease it this year, and then I'm going to turn around and sell it next year for 10 times what I paid for it. You can only sell it for 3% more than what you paid for it, as far as the land itself is concerned. And the house then is another question as far as what is the value of that and how much can you sell it for.
So each community land trust marks it out differently, and it depends on what the people want. Okay. Well, Jason?
The land trust that I work at, we don't just have the home ownership part and the rental part. We also have land conservation. We have youth empowerment programs. We've got housing counseling programs. We've got 6 or 7 different departments. So we try to make sure we plug people in and let them know all of the things that we're doing to make sure that they're not just saying, hey, and that's their choice if they want to, but we want them to be more involved. We have community projects. We have potluck dinners and things of that sort to see where we can plug people in. We have summer camps and job opportunities and all types of stuff. So yes, I say that we do kind of push them to build rather than just sitting in their own little house and hey, I got a house and I'm done. To learn how to, more so serve other people rather than just again sitting in their little house. I got my house, I'm good. So that's definitely a thing.
Jump in real quick to say that from the cradle to the grave, we're concerned about people and who they are and what they have. We have the first natural burial preserve in the state of Tennessee. And so if you die here, you can be buried here free of charge. No embalming, no metal casket, no concrete vault. And so we set it up for us to begin with, but we got people coming from everywhere that want to be buried in our natural preserve. And then we have areas set aside. Right now we're planting 350 chestnut trees so that we're going to have a big, huge chestnut orchard. Y'all might not know it. Chestnuts are dying or have died out. So this is a community labor of love that we're doing. We got hiking trails set aside for everybody that wants to hike or camp out or whatever they want to do. All of that's a sense of community and relating to one another, and no charge.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing your questions, and thank you to our panelists for answering them. Honestly, it was a pleasure. So we'll move into the last piece for today, which is our call to action. As you've heard throughout the panelists speaking tonight, there are a lot of different types of community land trusts, and it's really set up to benefit the people who live there. So if you're in a college town like in Athens, as we are in Knoxville, or Narrow Ridge, which is close to Knoxville, still in Tennessee, but focused on environmental preservation, and living in harmony with the environment. And then in Kentucky as well, where it's about sort of a similar town size to what we are, right? Each of these community land trusts is set up to support the community that they live in and the community that people want to be a part of. And so what we are trying to build here in Knoxville is a community land trust that serves the community here in Knoxville and is built into the fabric of who people want the community to be. And so with that, we're asking for people to fill out our community land trust visioning survey. It's 3 short questions, but it asks folks to think about what kind of community land trust would we build here in Knoxville to live out our dream of what the community could be. I'll have Michael put that up on the screen. And so while he's putting that up on the screen, this is the URL. Please take 5 minutes and fill it out. We would really appreciate feedback on what community land trusts you would like in Knoxville. And while I'm taking the time, I will say that we will put this link in our Facebook group. If you have not been to our Facebook page just yet, I will, excuse me, I'm gonna move this out the way. If you go up to our Facebook page, it is part of it's Community Land Trust - Knoxville. So I'll say that again. It's Community Land Trust Knoxville. So if you just type it in when you're online in Facebook, just put it into the search bar and it should come up. It has a little cartoon image. That's how you know you've gotten to the right one. And to wrap up, I just want to thank all of our panelists, thank all of our attendees for being with us today. It was a wonderful experience, and we are really excited about how we are moving forward and what we are building in Knoxville. So I want to thank all of you for your time, and then for the folks who have been working so hard on this, thank you as well for all of the time and dedication you put into gathering this event together and making sure that it ran smoothly. So with that, thank you all so much. And I will hand it over to Ron. I think he has a final thought to share with us.
No, I guess I'm trying to see the piece that Michael is putting up, because on my screen, I didn't see the 3 questions, the visioning piece.
It's just a link to it's a link to the survey, to the actual survey.
Oh, it's a link.
The actual questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I could have clarified that. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, we have
Before we end, can y'all confirm that you did see it should have been a QR code and a link. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, I saw a QR code.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And with that, we thank you all so much for your time and your energy. And we hope as you head out back into the world that you have a peaceful and enjoyable rest of your week.
And I'd just like to say thanks as well, but also we will continue to reach out to you all for more guidance as we continue this work. So thanks again for participating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Thank you. Oh, and for any Knoxville folks, we do meet every other Monday, every Monday at 5 to continue planning, to continue building, trying to build a land trust in Knoxville. So we would love to have you join us.
One of the questions on the survey is if you're interested in hearing about that, to put your email in, because we just have an email thread that we have the links to the meetings in and everything.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
So is that all recorded, Jason?
I forgot to ask about recording.
Is it recorded?